What is going on, Nuggets Nation, NBA fans? Welcome back to another episode of Nuggets Today, presented by FanArch. I still am in Europe, so trying to get any episode I really can out for you guys at this time. There may be a couple days where I'm not able to get it. I am getting the service gets worse and worse as we get from the first island, so the service right now might not be great. And I know you guys probably hear something in the background. We're in a tiny little Airbnb right on the water, so it is beautiful. But we're right off the beach now. The first thing I want to talk about is Kesler Edwards again. And I know that I brought him up a couple episodes ago because he still is on his 10-day exhibit contract. But I've been thinking about it, and I think that people are very negative on it, about the signing, and I was too to start out with. And I've really been thinking about what Denver has. And Denver's very small on their bench. And I know they have Duran, I know they have Val, and I know they technically have Najee. And Najee's not going to play. But you have those two guys. And then you have Peyton Watson, he's somebody I covered. I think he's 6'7", I think is his listed height, maybe 6'8", but he's a very thin body at the 4. So he's going to be more of a 3, which I think with Kesler Edwards could be great if you look at the versatility that he adds to the bench lineups. Now, if you bring him in and you do sign him, you sign him for the remainder of the season, and because of how he played at the end of the season, you think that he's good enough to get rotational minutes, then you see a front court off the bench of Kesler Edwards, Duran Holmes, and probably Val, which is great. Or if you want a defensive lineup, you have Duran Holmes, Peyton Watson, Kesler Edwards, with Duran at the 5, Kesler at the 4, Peyton Watson at the 3, and you're locking down the paint. I think there adds more versatility, and everybody says that the backup point guard is lacking the most depth, and I do sort of agree with it, but you also have to remember that the backup small forward right now is not that deep when you look at the depth of it. You have guys who can play it. Tim Hardaway can play it. Strawther can play it. If you want Christian Braun to play off the bench, he can play it, but those guys aren't legitimate small forwards. Now, if you're going to say any of them are, I guess that you say Tim Hardaway is because of the vet, and he's somebody that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But I think that if Denver brings in Kesler, especially if it's only for a year, they'll do what they did originally with Bruce Brown. They'll make him a player who's going to be good. Maybe their developmental skills aren't the best. I mean, some guys who obviously developed in the system looked good, MPJ, Jamal, Jokic, but you're not going to get a superstar in Kesler Edwards. But if you get a valuable role player like you did in Jeff Green, or like you did in Bruce Brown that championship year, I think you're in a great position, especially because he's going to be cheap. Let him go somewhere else next year and continue to do that while Jokic is still on the team. So, like I said, I think that Kesler can be a massive pickup. He shoots lights out. He was a good shooter, way above league average last year. So if you're able to get that out of him this year, set him up, have some lineups with him playing next to Jokic as well, I think that you're in a better position than you were last year, 100%. Now, another guy just brought up is obviously Tim Hardaway Jr. And something I want to talk about with Tim Hardaway, and I know I've covered him a lot, but I think that people sort of overlook it, right? Everybody thinks that a lot of people rather, think that he's the biggest addition this offseason, and I can't say I disagree. Now, I know Cam Johnson is a guy who's obviously the best for Denver. You look at the trade, not only was Cam Johnson the best pickup for Denver, it was just the best move overall. You were able to dump the contract of MPJ, and you were able to bring in 4, now maybe 5 guys with the Kesler Edwards decision, all for MPJ's contract, which is massive. Now, I know that Tim Hardaway is a bench piece for Denver, but I think that if you really look into what he has done, this is a guy who's, for his entire career, is averaging almost 14 points a game. This is a guy who was able to be a starter in majority of the other teams he was on. This is a guy who can come to Denver, bring in that spark. Like I said, he'll probably be playing the 3 a little bit. If you see Strawther as a ball handler, you'll see him at the 1. He gives Denver versatility. And I also think that if he's officially named Denver's 6th man this year, that he will most likely be in the 6th man of the year voting. I think that he lands maybe top 10. I think that if he comes into lineups with a guy like Jokic, you might see his numbers spike up a little bit. Maybe not his points per game, but the numbers all around the floor. But you'll also probably see him do well, realistically. He's going to be great with Jokic, and there's no doubting that, realistically. This is a guy who I think will sort of play a role of a guy like KCP. Maybe he's not as good of a defender, but he can start if you need him to start over Christian Braun. He's a guy who can shoot lights out from 3. He's not a bad defender, but he's also going to put the ball on the floor more. He's going to attack the rim more. I think he's going to be perfect for Denver in those transition plays. And if he's able to, again, be named the 6th man, I think he'll be in the 6th man of the year voting. Now, something that I want to talk about that's off that topic is the disrespect I think that Denver gets a lot of. especially this year, I think I've covered this earlier. A lot of people saying that the Thunder are still the runaways with the West, that the Nuggets don't compete, that the Rockets are better than them, which I mean, I might agree there a little bit. But people are saying that Denver's in the power rankings are 7 or 8, which I think is crazy. This is a team that realistically was the top 3 team, top 4 team maybe in the NBA last year with a 5-man rotation, 6-man rotation with Russ, and maybe 7-man when Strother was healthy. And when he wasn't, you were back to 6. This is a team has the best player in the world, maybe the best player that we've seen the last 5 to 10 years on the Nuggets right now. So they continue to get better. Now, the disrespect comes when it comes to any kind of conversation. The power rankings conversation is the one big thing. I've seen some things like just written online about how the Nuggets aren't that good, how Jokic isn't a winner because they never make it to the finals. They've only made it once. But the craziest thing is, and I know that this isn't a big deal for some people, but I saw it today and it sort of triggered me. It was the 2K ratings for this next game coming out, and it was the fact that Jamal Murray was under Tyler Hero. Aaron Gordon was the same overall as Deni Avdija. Now, Deni Avdija is a very good player if you ask me. But just certain things here that I think, spark a little bit of conversation. Jamal Murray being a number 2 option on a championship team is worse than the guy that they beat in the championship. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I think that Jamal is, I don't want to say overrated. I don't want to say underrated. I think that he's rated correctly. But I think that if he was in the East, he's a hands down an all-star. There's not many guards in the Eastern Conference better than him. I think you have maybe Trey, maybe Brunson, and Cade. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anybody else realistically. LaMelo maybe, but LaMelo doesn't play. This is a guy who plays consistently. I know he's a little sluggish, a little, he has his moments in the playoffs where he sort of struggles, but this is a guy who's been playing consistently. When he plays consistently, he's playing at an all-star level. He's just never been named an all-star, and that's not on him. That's on the fans and the NBA more than anything. So something like that triggers me because I do think that Denver continues to get disrespected realistically with how good they have become and how good they have been in the last couple of years. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is just something fun. Nothing to do with any real updates right now, but this is, in my opinion, the Forgotten Nuggets team. Now, the 12-13 Forgotten Nuggets team it's my favorite team of all time, right? And it's when I was younger. I was still very young at this point, so that team, was one of my first teams that I remember watching overall. You had Andre Miller there. You had Iguodala, who's my favorite player of all time, especially to wear a Nuggets uniform before Jokic, obviously. You had Danilo Gallinari, you had Wilson Chandler, Kenneth Faried, JaVale McGee, who's also probably my favorite center in NBA history. So I just wanted to bring that up to, just appreciate how good and how fun that team was to really watch. Like I said, a vet point guard, Andre Miller. You had one, at that time, a semi-young talent in Iguodala, a younger talent in JaVale McGee, who I love, and I wish Denver would always bring him back, even though they did 1 year and he didn't do much because they didn't play him. But that's all I want to say about that team. Just give them their flowers because they deserve it. And that team was so good, and I hope that Denver can be as electric as they were realistically. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. Like I said, just some quick notes to get you guys an episode out while I can. Not sure if I'm going to be able to get another episode out within the next couple days. I'm going to try my best, but if I don't, I will see you guys very soon. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I will catch you guys soon.